Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all well and having a great day so far. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Emma and I love to read and talk about books. Today the weather is absolutely disgusting here in the UK. It's raining, the wind is just wild, like it's so loud, so hopefully you can't hear it over my audio, but apologies if you can. And because it's just so miserable outside, I thought it would be a really good time for another reading vlog. So far in November, I'm doing pretty well with my TBR. I've already read 7 out of the 12 books, and hopefully today I'm going to read another 2 off my November TBR list. I've chosen 3 books and all of them are part of series that I'm currently in the middle of. The first book is Breathe With Me by Becca Mack. This is book 5 in the Playing for Keeps series. It's hockey romance and I've really enjoyed this series so far. This came out relatively recently, so I have been dying to sit down and finally make time to read it. Another book from my November TBR is Revolve by Balcabra, and this is book 3 in the Off the Ice series. It's another hockey romance. So yeah, I was keen to continue with this series. I didn't like book 1. Book 2 was a lot better, and I hope that I'm going to like this one better still. And the last book that I want to read in this vlog is Free in the Wild by Paisley Hope. This is book 4 in her Silver Pines Ranch series, and I have been really enjoying this so far. As you can guess from the fact that it's a ranch series, it is cowboy romance, and I've very much been looking forward to reading this one. This copy I did pick up from the works. It was only £5 and it does have these really beautiful sprayed edges, and I did also get a free bookmark as well, but really good value for £5. And as I said, I've very much been enjoying this series so far and I can't wait to continue with it. I'm going to start with Breathe With Me, and yeah, get yourself comfy, get yourself a drink. I'm going to go and make myself a coffee, and I'm just going to enjoy like a relaxing couple of days of reading time. I thought I'd do a quick check-in with you. I'm on page 132 and about to start chapter 12. I'm really enjoying it so far. I always felt that this book was missing from the series because the main characters in here, Emmett and Cara, they're the original couple. They were the first to get together, and from their relationship, sort of the introduction to, you know, the couple in the first book happens. So I always felt that their story was missing, and I wanted to know more about their relationship, how they got together. So this is a bit different. The couple is already married. They got married in the previous books. We've seen them in each of the 4 books, and they are sort of the foundation of the friendship group. But as I said, I wanted to know more about their story. In real time, they're actually experiencing some fertility issues, and obviously this is a topic that is close to a lot of people's hearts. Many couples are impacted by infertility or difficulty conceiving. So I was interested to see how Becca Mack handles this topic and how she portrays it in the book. So from what I've gathered so far is that you've got present day in some chapters, but then it also jumps back 3.5 years to when they first get together, and that was something I really hoped that she would circle back on. So that side of things has not disappointed me in the slightest. So we've got 2 timelines running. If you love a slow burn and you are not particularly into spice in books, I would say this is probably not the book for you. It jumps straight into the spice, straight from chapter 1, and there's been spice in most of the chapters. I personally don't mind it in this instance. I think, you know, when you're introduced to new characters, when they jump into the spice off the bat, and it's just spice by spice in most of the chapters, I can get a little bit bored by that. In this situation, I don't really mind it because we've seen these characters in the previous 4 books. We know what they mean to each other. We've seen them get engaged, get married, and they're a really nice couple. So I don't feel that anything is taken away from that sort of being jumped into in this book because we've had the build-up early on in the series. What I think Becca Mack is tackling very well in this book is sometimes when couples who've never struggled with infertility or fertility issues, they give advice to couples that are. Sometimes they're very well-meaning in terms of wanting to give advice and reassurance, but actually they can be quite insensitive, and some of the things that they say lands quite harshly, or can be quite upsetting for the couple receiving this unsolicited advice. I think she's you know, sort of highlighting this quite well in the book. Also in the doctor's office, it's actually a male doctor who is giving advice about how the couple can conceive, and he's being very sort of clinical about it, talking about the science, talking about what would give them the best odds for result, and some of the things that he's saying is quite harsh, and it's not really landing in a sensitive way. That can also be something that people are not necessarily sensitive to, that when people are receiving information like this, it's quite difficult to process, but it's also quite cutting news to receive as well. So I think that actually it's sort of highlighting an awareness for not just the topic, but how we can talk about it in society and maybe be a bit more mindful of our words, because they can be hurtful without even us meaning them to be. I'm about 2/3 of the way through the book, and it is a very, very good book. The way that Becca Mack has tackled the topic of infertility, I feel, is very raw and very honest. Cara as a character is a real powerhouse. She's such a strong individual. She's very much there for her friends, there for her family, and she fights for the people that she loves with such ferocity, that now she's struggling with something and finding it very difficult. You see like a real vulnerability to her as a character, but I think any couple who've gone through infertility would find this relatable. Some of the things that Cara describes, I myself can relate to, and certain instances that have happened to Cara in this book I've also experienced as well, and it can be really bittersweet, because you know, it's something that you want to happen for yourself, but in the stage of life that you're at, you know, you're also having pregnancy announcements and attending baby showers, and you're wanting to be happy for other people and sort of participate in the celebration and their joy. You don't want to take anything away from them, but you're also sort of wishing it was you at the same time. And that can be difficult, and sometimes the timing of these things, when somebody makes an announcement, it can coincide with maybe a day where you've taken a real hard knock yourself, and that's not always the easiest thing to deal with, but it's about sort of plastering a smile on your face and, you know, be there to celebrate other people's joy, because you do know that they would be your biggest cheerleaders if the roles were reversed. But it is such a sensitive topic, and I think Emmett is portrayed very well in this book. I mean, they've got such a beautiful relationship. It's such I guess an unconditional love between the two of them, and such a, you know, a caring love that they have, where he knows that she's hurting, but he doesn't necessarily know what to do to comfort her. He's obviously experiencing disappointment himself, but his main priority really is looking after Cara, and I think that is such a you know, such a loving relationship between the two of them. But yeah, I mean, parts of this I found at times a bit difficult to read, and shed a tear on occasion, but I do think that it's beautifully written. It's very emotionally intelligent and honest, and I think it's really nice to have representation of this topic in fiction, because it's something that so many people deal with. But I think it's been done in such an honest way, and it's really sort of given an insight to the roller coaster of emotions that Cara is feeling as an individual, that Emmett is feeling as an individual, and also how their friends, you know, feel their pain and want to support them and want to be there for them, because they do have this, I guess, found family type friendship group. I've just finished Breathe With Me, and I did very much enjoy this book. I'm going to be rating it 4 stars. I really liked getting to know some of the supporting characters. I loved Abel. He was just the cutest kid, and I really enjoyed seeing how his relationship with some of the characters developed as we went throughout the book. Also Catherine as well, her story was very interesting, and I really liked that although she started from quite a difficult position, how she was able to sort of take control of her life and begin to build the life that she wanted, and that she's, you know, finally getting a good support system around her. Carter, who is the captain of the hockey team, he's the MMC from the first book in the series, and he's got such a playful, like dramatic, over-the-top, ostentatious character, and at times he can be a little bit immature and ridiculous, and you see that part of his personality throughout the book. But there's also another side to him where he does part with some fantastic pearls of wisdom during this book, actually on a couple of occasions, and he's a really good supportive friend, and it was really just nice to see that side of his personality showing up in the book as well, you know, so that he could be sensitive and serious when needed, as well as seeing, you know, his fun, ridiculous side. I really enjoyed getting to know Emmett and Cara more in depth as characters. As I said, I think this is the book that was missing from the series for me. I loved that she circled back and we saw how their relationship began, and how it developed up until the point that they got married, because obviously this couple was already an established couple at the beginning of the series. So I really like the fact that she circled back and we got to see that glimpse in their story, but I really love their relationship. They clearly love each other so much, and the way that they're just there for each other no matter what is just really lovely to read, and I'm so happy that they did get their happy ending. It was a really good book. I thought that she tackled some of the topics in this story just so sensitively and very honestly, as I've said earlier in my review, but I think that it was really well written, and there were a few funny moments in the book as well which balanced out like the more serious topics, but overall a very enjoyable read, and I'm a little bit sad that this series has come to an end, but I have really enjoyed it as a whole and also very much enjoyed this book. The 2 books that I've got left to choose from are Free in the Wild and Revolve. Revolve is a hockey romance, and although Breathe With Me is part of like a hockey romance series, I don't think the hockey played a big part in that book. But I'm going to go with Free in the Wild because it's been quite some time since I've read a cowboy romance, and I'm just craving that at the moment, I think. But while I was reading the last bit of Breathe With Me, I have started to get a bit tired. I was yawning my head off towards the end of that book. So I'm going to get myself off to bed, and I am going to start this. Maybe I'll only manage, you know, half an hour or so reading this before I drift off to sleep. But I will update you in the morning with my first impressions of this book. Hello guys, so it's the next day and I have been out this morning, so I think it's like early afternoon now. I'm about 110 pages into Free in the Wild by Paisley Hope, and I'm very much enjoying it so far. It's been quite a while since I last read a cowboy romance, and I do really love them. Cassie and Hayden meet when Cassie's in town visiting her family. He sees her on the ranch and it's a bit of an awkward introduction. Cassie's riding a horse which is a bit unsafe. It doesn't go to plan, and Hayden sort of chastises her, if you like, and one of the other ranch hands, because I think he's worried about the ranch being sued. So it's a bit of an awkward first meeting. Cassie also doesn't want to lose face and admit that she was in the wrong. So it's, yeah, a bit of an awkward first meeting. They're a little bit frosty towards each other. But later they meet in the local bar, and although there's a bit of frostiness, there's clearly some attraction, but Hayden has got no idea who she is in relation to Ivy and Wade. He just thinks that she's a visitor to the town. They end up having a one-night stand, and I get the feeling that Hayden is not the type of guy that's used to getting the brush off. He's probably the one who's used to giving the brush off. And it's not until she sort of left town that he sort of realises that she's a country singer, firstly, and then secondly finds out that she's a relation of Ivy's. So he's a bit pissed off by this, to be honest, because if it could have potentially put him in quite a precarious position with Ivy and Wade being his employer. So he's not very happy with Cassie about that. But he has sort of been keeping one eye open on her career and following her online. Cassie has quite a traumatic incident occur at one of her shows, and it really upsets and affects her. So she's needing some time off, and she decides to take a break and return to Silver Pines to really get some R&R and spend some quality time with her family. While she's there, she's staying on site at the ranch, and actually it turns out she's going to be staying in the house next door to Wade. So there's a bit of a forced proximity there. He has just realised that Cassie is moving in for a period of time, and neither of them are too impressed that you know, they're going to be staying next door to each other. I'm just over halfway now, and I'm really enjoying how the relationship between Cassie and Hayden is developing. Obviously, when Cassie returned to Silver Pines, they didn't part on the best of terms, and I think there was a little bit of animosity there to start off with. But as they've organically spent more time together, they're getting to know each other, rather than it being like a physical attraction like it was in the first instance, where they had the one-night stand. They haven't actually hooked up since, and they've sort of been spending time with each other and just getting to know each other organically. I can clearly see that there is an attraction still there, and although you know, they haven't sort of revisited that side of their relationship yet, I can see that they clearly are still attracted to each other, and it's obviously heading in that direction. I've just finished Free in the Wild by Paisley Hope, and I did enjoy this book. Both of the characters, Hayden and Cassie, did have people in their lives that maybe didn't have their best interests at heart. So it was interesting to see how they overcame those situations individually, and then how they found their way to each other. Parts of this book certainly reminded me of When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I read that earlier this year, and if you enjoyed that book but maybe felt like you wanted a bit more spice, because Sarah Adams does write closed door romance, then I think you would really enjoy this one. For me personally, I have enjoyed all 4 books in the series, but I think that book 2 and book 3 were standout for me, whereas this one and the first book just didn't quite hook me in the same way. As I said, still enjoyable reads, but I think I would rank book 2 and 3 higher than 1 and 4. Now that I've finished Free in the Wild, I'm ready to pick up Revolve by Belle Cabra. This is a hockey romance series, and it's a series that I haven't been overly wowed by. Book 1 I didn't enjoy at all. It was Reverse Grumpy Sunshine, where the female character was the grump. But for me, she came across as very bratty, and you know, I just couldn't take to her, and for that reason I didn't feel like I was rooting for their relationship, because I just found her to be very annoying. But the second book I did enjoy more so. Up to now though, I think if I was to compare it to other hockey romance series, I think that there are better ones out there, but I want to go into reading this with an open mind. I do want to like it, so it might be that with each book I'm liking the story a bit more and a bit more, and I'm hoping that that's the case. But really want to give this a go, and keeping my fingers crossed that I'll enjoy it. I did have a little panic actually, and I realised when I was sitting in bed last night that I probably forgot to tell you what I rated this book in our last update. So I'm going to rate this book 3.5 stars. As I said, I did really enjoy it. It was a fun read, but I've just downgraded it slightly because I didn't enjoy it as much as a couple of the other books, and those were 4-star reads, so I've used that as the benchmark. But yeah, still a good book, and sorry that I forgot to tell you about that before. But anyway, back to Revolve, and I'm going to carry on reading this. I'm pretty confident that I'll get this done today. So I'm now a third into Revolve, and so far I'm happy to tell you that I'm enjoying this book so much more than the first two in the series, which is what I was really hoping for. Obviously when people either like or dislike a book, it's very subjective. It's not necessarily because the book's bad, it's just that we relate to different things. I've said before on my channel, I'm 38, I'm going to be 39 in a couple of weeks, and in a college setting I am quite far removed from these characters. You know, it's been 20 years or so since I was this age, and occasionally I do find it more difficult to relate to a younger character. With other hockey romances where they're in a professional league, the characters can be in their late 20s, early 30s. So maybe that is the reason that I just sort of relate to and enjoy those types of books a bit more. But this one I am really enjoying so far. The main characters are Sienna and Dylan, and Sienna is an Olympic level figure skater. She's extremely talented, but recently she has suffered an injury, so she's had to have some time out. She's also lost some confidence, and her figure skating partner has abandoned her in effect and gone and found himself another partner. Dylan is part of the college's hockey team, and he was actually the newly appointed captain of that team, but he's made a very unwise decision that was probably a bit out of character for him, and that has led to him being kicked off the team, and that sort of ban has possibly put his professional career into jeopardy as well. So they've been offered a bit of a lifeline where they can work together as a figure skating pair. Dylan can get his ice time, and then hopefully that will, you know, not cause him an issue with his professional career. And then obviously that gives Sienna a chance to compete as well. So they meet sort of unrelated to this opportunity that the college staff have presented to them. They didn't hit it off initially. I think that there's a lot of egos involved. She thinks, you know, she's sort of super talented. She knows that she is, so she's got a bit of an ego. But equally, as with the other players on the hockey team, he's sort of a popular guy on campus, you know, has a lot of women trailing after him. A lot of the guys on campus want to be him, so he's got an ego as well. And I think that they sort of find each other a bit irritating initially, but now they've had this opportunity presented to them, they both kind of realise that they've got to suck it up and make this work if they want to get out of the situation what they need. So right now they're spending a bit more time with each other, and it's early days, so I like where this is going. I like the fact that it's not so focused around hockey, and then in terms of how they're spending time together, they're having to very much work together as a team. So I think this has brought a different dynamic to the book, and also how their relationship is going to develop so far. I'm about 2/3 of the way through now, about to start chapter 37, and I'm really enjoying it so far. As I said in my last update, I think this book is a lot more my thing than the previous two, which is awesome. I really like Dylan and Sierra as a couple, and I think having that dynamic of them being like a figure skating pair has really added a lot to the story. Because she was so badly injured, she has got like an element of fear and a bit of trauma, I think, about what had happened. So she's needing really to build trust with her partner, and as that trust is growing between the two of them, he's opening up more about his family situation. She's opening up more and trusting him to look after her whilst they're out on the ice. And I think as a couple they're growing. They're not sort of exclusive. I think their relationship is just developing, but I really like that element of partnership on the ice, because I think it does add a lot to their relationship. So just finished Revolve, and I really did enjoy this book. I thought the epilogue was very nice as well. It was a really lovely way to wrap up the story and sort of give us an insight into what the characters were doing in 7 years' time. So yeah, really liked it. I'm gonna rate this book 3.5 stars, which is higher than I rated the first and second book in this series. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice story, and I think if you do enjoy hockey romance, this one is by far the best in the series, in my opinion. I've really enjoyed the last couple of days reading all of these books. It was just so relaxing. I really like it when I can set some time aside and do some dedicated reading, and that's another 2 books off my November TBR and 1 book off my autumn TBR. So yeah, good progress with the TBR list as well. If we have a quick recap, there was Breathe With Me by Becca Mack. This was a 4-star read. Free in the Wild by Paisley Hope. This was 3.5 stars. And Revolve by Balcabra, another 3.5 stars. All of these books belong to series that I was in the middle of, so I am pleased that I've been able to get myself up to date with the latest book in these series. Obviously, when you read quite a lot like I do, you can have quite a few different series on the go all at once. So I like that I'm keeping myself up to date or reading completed series where possible. But yeah, very much enjoyed it. I've got 3 books left on my November TBR, so doing pretty well. I'm quite confident that I'm going to complete my TBR list in full this month. But that is everything for today's reading vlog. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know by giving the video a like. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I would love to have you back. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on my next one. Enjoy the rest of your evening.